Narrative for John Brown's Raid. Guide background: born in Connecticut in 1800. Old man age 59 at Harpers Ferry. Long history as an organizer of gangs, ruthless fighter and killer across the country with his vision of freedom for enslaved men, women and children. Very religious and Bible-toting white man and farmer from the Northeast, became the voice and symbol of rebellion and freedom from slavery among blacks in and across America. Planning preparation: John Brown had a plan that developed over the long term, along with 2 decades of taking up arms to rebel against slavery. His long-term plan matured in the 1850s with help from wealthy supporters of the cause, including some politicians of the time. His network of supporters collaborated in secret to recruit fighters, armament and supplies for John Brown's army. Along with a network of collaborators, he was able to arrange the purchase and delivery of weapons and supplies in almost invisible small stages in Maryland for the attack on Harpers Ferry, Virginia, and the federal arsenal located in the town. John Brown's intention was to start an insurrection among the enslaved, and to arm them with firearms, ammunition and gunpowder taken from the seized arsenal, and to provide weaponized pikes that were smuggled into the area from Pennsylvania, all as armaments for the new slave recruits to the insurrection. Arrival at Sandy Hook: John Brown traveled from Pennsylvania to Maryland by railroad train and arrived in the small village of Sandy Hook in July of 1859. Sandy Hook is located on the Maryland side of the Potomac River and is adjacent to the Chesapeake-Ohio Canal. The C-O Canal was an important strategic point for John Brown's plan. C-O Canal Lock H33 and the lockhouse associated with operating the lock water gates provides a clear view of Harpers Ferry directly across the Potomac River in Virginia. Important because John Brown could place one of his men there as an employee of the Lock 33 lockmaster in a dual role as an observer and spy in the town of Harpers Ferry across the river. Kennedy Farmhouse. On arrival at Sandy Hook, John Brown made a whistle stop, as there was no train station in the small village. He found travelers' quarters for a short stay at a village tavern. From here, he was able to visit the nearby C-O Canal and observe the railroad bridge built for both rail and wagon passage, connecting from near Lock 33 directly across the Potomac River to the train station in Harpers Ferry. This revealed to John Brown how he would get his men across the Potomac River and into the town of Harpers Ferry. While exploring the roads near Sandy Hook, John Brown learned from the locals that there was a farm and farmhouse recently vacant and available. The farm was located on the Maryland side of the river and about 6 miles distant on a rough country road among other farms. The isolation and privacy of this location fit perfectly with the plan to slowly assemble his group of men in secret for the Harpers Ferry raid. John Brown rented the Kennedy farmhouse under the guise of a small family-run farming operation in Maryland. Here, using an assumed family name and with the help of his daughter and sons, he gradually assembled and trained his larger group of men out of sight during daylight hours to keep the operation secret from the neighbor farms. This operation went on for months until such time as Captain John Brown or Commander-in-Chief John Brown decided all was in order and it was time for John Brown's army to make their move on Harpers Ferry. Wagon trip on Harpers Ferry Road. On Sunday, October 16th, John Brown decided it was time for the raid. He ordered his group of men to prepare their supplies and load the wagon for the slow trek from the Kennedy farm to the C-O Canal Lock H33, a distance of about 6 miles over a winding, curving, uphill and downhill country road.
John Brown and his raiding party approached lock number 33 on the C&O Canal in the middle of the night and overpowered the watchman at the Maryland side of the bridge so that they could cross over to the Virginia side in the town of Harpers Ferry. Crossing the bridge, they next approached the front gate of the federal arsenal in Harpers Ferry and overtook or overpowered the night watchman at the front gate, of the federal arsenal. So that began the successful takeover of the federal arsenal. From that point on, things did not go well for John Brown and his army. While some of his other men went off to collect hostages, they continued rambling through the federal arsenal grounds, and during this process, the town citizens discovered what was going on and sounded the alarm or sent for help from the surrounding communities of Charlestown and Shepherdstown, which both places sent militia to help out with the raid and to fight against the John Brown's army. In the meantime, during the day, federal troops were dispatched from Washington, D.C. By train to join the battle against John Brown and his men, who were holed up in the John Brown's fort. Upon arrival, the federal troops began storming the federal arsenal. After some negotiations and some fighting took place, John Brown's raid ended with the capture of John Brown, a capture or killing of John Brown and most of his men. And that's how John Brown's raid ended. This is the arsenal grounds where John Brown pulled off his raid. This is right next to the Potomac River, which you can see in the distance there. And right down below, down these steps, are where the federal arsenal buildings were located. They're no longer there, but that's the 2 or 3 acre site where they were located. We'll pan around here so you can see where the arsenal was in relation to downtown Harpers Ferry. And off in the distance you can see John Brown's fort there on the right. This is a pretty scenic spot. This view across the Potomac River with the railroad bridge going across and looking at the Rocky Mary's Heights across the way there, that will be familiar to Appalachian Trail hikers. This video here is down on the actual grounds where the armory was located, so you can see that there is nothing left where the armory was located, just a few markers out there to show where the warehouse buildings were and the manufacturing buildings were. And here we see John Brown's fort across the way where it has been moved and where it is in relation to downtown Harpers Ferry. And the obelisk there in the distance is where John Brown's fort was originally located. This is the main Shenandoah Road, Shenandoah Drive, Shenandoah Avenue, I think they call it, right through downtown Harpers Ferry. And as we come up and get a good look at John Brown's fort as it stands today. Now, John Brown's fort right here on the corner, you can see where the Watchman Office was for John Brown's raid. The Watchman's office at the front gate was right here. I'm going to go over to the windows here and show you the inside view of the Watchman's office. The first man captured by John Brown and his men when they pulled off the raid. This was the gate watchman's office. And this is the inside of John Brown's fort as it looks today. Rebuilt in virtually or exactly the same configuration as it was when John Brown held his prisoners inside the firehouse here, with the firehouse equipment and all of his hostages, and he was inside here behind these sets of 2 doors which were breached by the U.S. Marines to capture John Brown.